There we go. Hi. And hope everybody is having a good day today. As I open applications I can barely see, and then minimize applications that I can barely see, and then I turn around and reopen applications I can barely see. Okay, there we go. Okay, that looks about right. Hi, how you doing? How you be? Talk to the AB, and yeah, hope everybody had a good day at work, or is snowed in, whichever way that works. Sharing, splitting rations and all that kind of stuff is tough, man. It's been quite the day in Texas. See, in fact, it's like frozen over. So yeah, I hope everybody is staying safe and all that kind of good stuff. And oh yeah, so this channel, this just breaking down of what we kind of do here. So we basically troubleshoot gamer issues essentially. So we're like Dexter, but for like video games, but we don't like hurt anybody or anything. We literally troubleshoot gamers' issues instead of playing games. But not like we can't play games. It's just I think I may put that to a different channel, and I think that's kind of how I would treat that situation as of right now. Making sure everything audio is good. It looks good. So yeah, that's kind of how we treat it. So this channel here is dedicated more to helping people with their gaming issues than actually playing video games. But in the future, we may change to something like that. It really just kind of depends on the situation. So we're just kind of taking it day by day and helping as many people as we can. And boy, do we have a bunch of issues. We have a bunch of repeats for different issues, and they none of them look good. But we'll work through them together, try to figure out if we can do something to help these people, and help as many people as humanly possible. Doing what we do. So with all that being said, there were some interesting things that happened today. Sorry, I'm not exactly sure. I got a popsicle in my throat or something. Hold on. There were a few interesting things that happened today, and we can go ahead and get started and take a look at them because I thought they were pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and switch it out here and let's get started. Oh, here we go. Alrighty, so let's go to this one here. Oh my goodness. AMD announces Ryzen 7000 X3D pricing, $449 to $699 starting February 28th. And if you look here, we have the 7800 X3D with up to 5 gigs, 4.2 to 5 gigs, and it has 120 watt TDP, which, take that as it will, because it's not exactly a 1-to-1 ratio there, but $449 for that. The 7900 X3D, which can go from 4.4 gig to 5.6 gig, is $599, and the 7950 X3D, which can go from 4.2 to 5.7 gig at 120 watt TDP, is $699. Bear in mind, the 7950 X3D is actually a lower TDP than the 7900 X3D, which I think was 125 watt TDP, but it can go it can go Super Saiyan. AMD announces 3 new Zen 4 Ryzen 7000 X3D processors for its AM5 platform at CES 2023, and today it shared the pricing and availability for the Ryzen 7000 X3D processors in a surprise video it posted to its YouTube channel. And this represents anywhere from $100 to $180 premium over the street pricing for AMD's non-X3D versions of these chips. It's more than that. If you go to places like Micro Center, you can actually get them with combos with like free RAM and all kind of craziness. So yeah, it's a big bump or a big price increase over some of the other ones, because I know like you can get a 7950X for I think $599 and it comes with RAM and a motherboard. They're just giving it away at this point. So it's kind of an interesting situation that they found themselves in. And the 7950 X is excellent, but if I can get RAM and a motherboard for it, as opposed to paying $699 for the 7950 X3D, I'll just take 7950X. I mean, that's the one I'm rocking now, and save myself a ton of money, because now you don't have to pay that in crazy price premium, and you can get it for a discount. So if you guys are anywhere near a Micro Center, I would suggest going for that than going for these. But I guess it really kind of just depends. I guess AMD just really wants to corner that market. They want to make sure Intel does not exist. Alrighty, and it says, when is it actually coming out? Okay, so basically they're all DDR5, but we already kind of knew that. But where is the actual release date? I think it was late February, but I just want to make sure. Where does it show the actual release date? I mean, are they gonna show a release date? Okay, here we go. So the first two chips arrived February 28th. The 16-core 32-thread 7950X3D at $699 and the 12-core 24-thread Ryzen 9 7900X3D that weighs in at $599. The 8-core 16-thread Ryzen 7 7800X3D arrived April 6th for $449. Okay, and I think they had a video on this, so we can go ahead and check this out real quick. Look at that, it's perfect.
The Ryzen 7000 series processors with AMD 3D V-Cache technology. Today, I want to share some exciting news about these next-gen processors. This marks the first time that we've offered 3D V-Cache technology with our Ryzen 9 processors, which means that enthusiasts will be able to harness both the ultimate gaming performance and the ultimate creator performance in one processor. So
7950X didn't do that? I feel like the 7950X did that.
I highly anticipate these processors coming to market. So today, I'll share everything you need to know about these new processors, including pricing and availability. It's a straightforward upgrade with the advanced AM5 platform. You can install your new Ryzen 7,
except for the fact, you know, it can be really hot, and
you're good to go. And since all AM5
the AM5 boards are kind of a pain.
BIOS flash feature, you don't need to worry about BIOS compatibility. As far as cooling solutions go, we recommend using at least a 280mm all-in-one liquid cooler for the best.
They serious about that. If y'all want to know, they are serious.
For the Ryzen 7000 series processors can be found on AMD.com. Now let's talk briefly about suggested pricing for each of these new parts. The Ryzen 7 7800X3D will be offered for $449. The Ryzen 9 7900X3D for $599, and the top-of-the-line Ryzen 9 7950X3D for $699.
Forgive me all your money.
To get these processors in your hands so you can enjoy the fastest gaming performance in the world.
And give us money.
You can expect to see the Ryzen 9 processors, including the 7950X3D and the 7900X3D, available on shelves beginning February 28th. The Ryzen 7 7800X3D will be available soon thereafter on April 6th.
I like how they always do the most expensive one first. That way, the people who buy the 7950X aren't going to come back for the 7800X3D. So they always have to make sure that that first one comes out. But I mean, I don't know. You have to show me if the 7950X is comparable or better than the 7950X3D or vice versa. You have to have some type of a barrier so that people who have a 7950X or who are looking at processors, why would they go for a 7950X3D when you can do a combo and get the 7950X with like a free motherboard and RAM and not have to worry about it and save all that money? We're talking like a $300-$400 difference at that point once we're talking about all the little discounts you can get from other stores. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting one because they're not just competing against themselves, they're competing against the discounts that people have with other companies. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I hope you know, they'll well, I hope they'll do well because I like the competition between AMD and Intel, but we'll see exactly what happens with it. I don't know if I'll be the one trying to buy stuff here. I can't tell you if I would. I may just for the build, because I always wanted to get another processor, like instead of going with the 3900X for my portable one. But at the same time, I'm not going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. I'm just gonna sit here. I can't even go outside. I'm like snowed in. So like, where am I gonna go? So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but we'll see what happens. Oh yeah, Hogwarts Legacy official trailer launch. So I kind of wanted to see this one because they have a new trailer for Hogwarts Legacy, and I haven't looked at it too much, though I probably will be troubleshooting issues on it, so I figured I might as well take a look.
In light of your unique situation, joining us as a fifth year, we've devised something extraordinary to ensure your success.
Okay, not that. This isn't so bad.
A lot to absorb on your first day.
Can't believe I'm here. Professor Weasley has asked that your professors give you instruction outside of the ordinary curriculum.
I always like how they treat murder of kids. It's like,
you have the benefit of an
it's a TV show, it's okay.
Witches and wizards to guide you.
A surprised opponent is a weak opponent.
They will test your abilities, both innate and learned.
You've done it! I am wary of how much time the new fifth year seems to be spending away from the castle.
No need for theatrics. I'm only here for this one anyway.
What do they want with a Hogwarts student?
I just hope it's not like
I have a
Forspoken,
rare
where it looks really
report
good,
that
and then when it
ancient
comes out,
magic.
it's gonna be kind of meh.
Extraordinary. It's a powerful magic that should only be wielded by a select few.
It kind of looked like Dark Souls, like the buttons and where you go and what you can press and stuff like that. It looked kind of interesting.
But I do not know where it leads.
Nice. I wonder if any of this is in-game footage. Or is this all just a video?
I'm afraid you're on your own. I've ensured that we have a moment to ourselves.
Like in one of the trailers, man, they were just straight, like, just murdering people. And it's like, oh my goodness. They just disappear in the dust? Is that how that works? That's insane. Oh, I like the bubble.
We leave
The
our legacy
the pally
in
bubble.
your hands.
Wow, that looks actually pretty good. It will launch April 4th and Nintendo Switch on July 25th, which is never. So, but it will be available on PS5 and Xbox on February 10th. So that's interesting. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this fares out. If hopefully it does a little bit better than Forspoken did. But yeah, so from what I've seen so far, and that didn't show you any in-game footage. From what I've seen so far, it looked pretty interesting. Okay, and the last part we have here is the Samsung Galaxy S23 event. Everything announced during Samsung's first Galaxy Unpacked event of 2023. So they actually announced a few different phones. They announced the Samsung S23 Ultra, and then the Plus, and then the Ultra, the Plus, and the regular. So the Samsung S23 regular, the S23 Plus, and the Ultra. And basically, it was just about the camera features, really. They basically, as it's a new 200 megapixel camera sensor. Granted, this is not the first time Samsung has made a 200 megapixel sensor, but it is the first time that it's made its way to flagship smartphones. Very true. Along with a 200 megapixel wide lens, the additional rear cameras include a 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, while the selfie camera features 12 megapixels. Another noticeable thing about the cameras this year is you can see in the few images above is that the S23 Ultra alongside the S23 Plus and S23 doesn't have a thick camera bump as was the case with the S22 series. So yeah, a lot of new phones coming out of Samsung. So if you're interested in that, I'll create a link in the actual stream itself. But I think that's good enough for today. Samsung's doing things, AMD's doing things, and Harry Potter's doing things. I guess that's the best way to say it. But yeah, it was always kind of an interesting thing with Harry Potter. Even watching the movies or whatever, and watching them just like Mortal Kombat people. It's just kind of interesting. It's like, good Lord. Like, because all it takes is one spell, right? So it's just like, okay, we don't need you anymore. Bye. But okay, whatever. So we have a lot of repeats here, so we'll probably just they're all around. So yeah, we may just have like a string of repeats for this, but we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do this here, and then let's do this here, and let's see what we can do here to help some people. Alrighty, so this is from the Tool Man. Okay, we got a new one. Good. I play R6. R6? I'm not sure what that is, but it'll come to me. And when I'm in Discord with my friends, we can all talk just fine and have no problems. I can even hear other people talk in game chat, but when I try to talk in game using PTT, nobody can hear me. So that push to talk. In game chat, Discord still works fine. If I leave Discord and talk in game, it works fine. Is there a setting I need to change to allow me to stay in Discord and use the game chat? Let me see about this one here. So he said, with my friends, we can all talk just fine and have no problems. I can even hear other people talk in game chat. But when I try to talk in game using push to talk, nobody can hear me. Okay, well, is the push to talk button on Discord different from the push to talk button in game? A lot of times people run into this issue because the PTT button in game is set up to communicate with a party in game, yet they may have their headsets set to the Discord chat instead, so they can hear call-outs, etc. I would say since Discord works fine out of game, that the button press may be different between them. Yeah, that's what I would say on that. So when you run into issues in Discord where you are talking to somebody in Discord chat, or you can hear them, they can hear you, you're all in the chat and everybody can hear each other. Except when you get into the game and you press the push to talk feature and no one hears you, that typically means that the video game itself has a push to talk feature and Discord itself also has a push to talk feature, and they are not aligned. So basically maybe you have it set for shift or space in Discord, but it may be 1 in game. You don't really know. So I would say for him, depending on which game he's playing, I'm not exactly sure what the name of the game was, but in this particular situation here, it sounds like they just may not be congruent with each other. So you may have to go into the game and make sure that the push to talk button is the same button as what you would use in Discord, and vice versa. So that's how I would handle this particular issue. But hopefully we'll hear back from the tool man. That was a pretty good starter, because that was different from what we normally troubleshoot. Seeing the fact we deal with, broken PCs here and there, it's nice to get a Discord issue. And we got good tea. Let's do this. Okay. This is from Sacred Ham. Mr. Pork writes, neon reflections in Dead Space. I am getting these neon reflections, red, green, or blue, while playing Dead Space Remake. I have tried installing and reinstalling my GPU drivers, as well as playing with in-game graphics settings, but nothing seems to work. Has anyone seen or have any idea of what would cause this? My PC specs are i7 8700K, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 7900X3 XT GPU. Sorry about that. Starting all over my words because my headset was driving me crazy. Okay, so he has issues with red, blues, and greens while playing Dead Space Remake. Well, do you happen to have a picture of what you are referring to? What happens if you lower the settings? Does the issue go away? I mean, we looked at Dead Space when it came out. We looked at it on IGN, and that guy, it has a lot of artifacts. It's very, very pretty. I'll just put it that way. So it could be that if he's getting those reflections, okay, also, it could also be ray tracing. Also, do you have ray tracing turned on? Oh, it's a 7900 XT. Well, it's better to go ahead and ask. I don't know for that particular game, because I don't have it. I don't know if that game has the option to turn on ray tracing, even though they detect you have a 7900 XT. Not like 7900 XT can't. It's just, it'd be kind of interesting to see what your settings are in that. But we can go about it like this. Do you have ray tracing turned on in game? And let's see what else we can say on this. Kind of just want to leave it at that. Well, do you happen to have a picture of what you are referring to? What happens if you lower the settings? Does the issue go away? Also, do you have ray tracing turned on in game? Yeah. But yeah, I would go with this right here and just give him a lot of replies and just see what he says here. I think somebody else made a reply too. I think they probably said the same thing we did. Or it's just us. What just happened? Does it not show my own comment? What just happened? Okay, I was like, hold up, are we wasting our time? No, it's working properly. It's just that for some reason it did not upload whenever we did that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it was just us talking. If anybody else joins, I was kind of curious of what they would say. But yeah, with this one here, with a neon reflections in Dead Space, I would think that because we're talking about reflections, it may be ray tracing turned on, as well as trying to lower the settings to see if that makes a difference, as well as if they can show us a picture so we can actually get an idea of what they're referring to. because it may be something with the graphics card, but we won't know unless they actually show us. But plus, it's only in one game, so I doubt it's just the graphics card. But we'll see what they say. Alrighty, it really seems like this tough. How much should this $400 GPU cost? $1,600. You're hired. NVIDIA. That is exactly how I feel, and it makes me feel kind of dumb. Me laughing at this, but crying in the car with my 4090 purchase. Yeah, I kind of feel that pain, man. I don't even know if I would. Okay, to be honest, I don't know if I would have bought the 4090 if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for what I was trying to do, because I had the 3090 and the 3090 did 90% of what I needed it to do. The only time I really struggled was in Overwatch, where I couldn't get 240 hertz, but I can't get 240 hertz with the now, even with the 4090. So it doesn't really matter. Like if I change the settings down to medium, I'm pretty sure I can hit it, but it didn't really do a whole lot. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't even play Call of Duty as much anymore. So yeah, if I didn't have this, I probably wouldn't get it. But at the same time, in gaming perspective of learning how the 4090 fits, if it can fit in certain chassis, if it can't fit in certain chassis, what it can do, what it can't do. So that's the only benefits. But if you ask me, if you had a 3090, I don't see a reason to upgrade unless you have plans on going 4K 120. So if you got plans on going 4K 120, 144, something along those lines, or you're like competitive and you want all the frames, because you got to think like Overwatch, you're going to hit 220, 240 anyway at 2K with a 3090. And if we talk about a lot of other games, you're going to pretty much hit that if you have a 3090, 3090 Ti, 3080, 3070 Ti, somewhere in that area. You're going to hit those. You're going to hit those frames or not get really, really close. So at certain points, it won't really make much difference. So it's like, okay, well, why would you add a 4090 to that? The only way you would add a 4090 to that is if, one, you want it. If that's the case, then do you, boo. But if it's not the case, then it may be in your best interest just to go with something a little bit cheaper, especially if you're not going to go with a 4K 120 monitor. So that's kind of the way I feel about the 4090. But yeah, he gonna make me cry in a car from this. I'm sitting here laughing when I'm the one who it's literally referring to. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Alrighty, so this is from Draconix Gaming. Installed new RAM on laptop and now I'm confused. Okay, so I have a ROG Zephyrus G15 GA503R, which we will look up here. Laptop, got it. Images, got it. Okay, cool. Upgraded the 8 gigs to 16 gigs, and now the CPU runs maxed out pretty much all the time with temps around 85 degrees. Now, though, when I open a game that takes over 16 gigs, in this case, Battlefront 2, the CPU will clock back down to normal and temps will go back to the cozy 70 to 75 degrees. They're usually at when gaming. Why in the world does using more RAM fix my CPU cooking problem? And is there a solution to this? I should also mention I can manually clock down the RAM since BIOS doesn't have XMP. I can't manually clock down the RAM. Okay, so it doesn't have XMP. Got it. Well, now though, when I open a game that takes over 16 gigs, in the case of Battlefront 2, the CPU will clock back down to normal and temps will go back down to a cozy 70 to 75 degrees. They're usually at when gaming. So, well, what speed was the 8 gig stick versus the speed of the two 16s or just say versus the speed of the 16 gigs? Is the 16 gig faster? If so, you may need to update the BIOS of the laptop to accommodate it. This is no accommodation. We're just saying update the BIOS of the laptop because they may have some updates to RAM, and that may actually resolve this issue. Update the BIOS of the laptop as they may have a new memory compatibility update that may address the situation. But it seems Well, no, nothing else to say on that. Well, that speed was the 8 gig stick versus, well, what is this? Oh my God, I cannot talk today. What is the, oh, what speed was the, well, what is the speed? Oh my goodness. Maybe I just can't type or talk today. Good Lord. Well, what speed was the 8 gig stick versus the speed of the 16 gigs? Yay, I did it. Is the 16 gig faster? If so, you may need to update the BIOS of the laptop as they may have a new memory compatibility update that may address the situation. That's what I would say to that. Is typically if your CPU is basically powering itself up, and you're running into a situation with this where you know you can't actually get it to kind of come down unless you're playing a video game. That seems like a bug. Honestly, if you're asking me, that seems like a kind of a bug in the software where it's basically because it's overclocking the RAM. I'm guessing his new RAM is faster than his old RAM. Then the CPU has to work a little bit harder for the actual RAM itself, because it kind of it doesn't overclock the CPU, but the CPU has to work a little bit harder because the speed is faster. So yeah, I would say with this one here, you may want to go ahead and download the most up-to-date BIOS to see if that makes a difference in the temps while idle. Seeing the fact that it goes right back down in games, that just seems like a bug to me. Alrighty, Draconics Gaming, I hope that helps. But yeah, that screams bug, bro. Okay, we already worked him. All right, what's the next person? Okay, Swag's Gun Safe. Transferring Google Authenticator to new phone, but old phone, iPhone 6 home button broken. My iPhone 6 home button broke. Got a new iPhone and trying to duplicate Google Authenticator on my new phone, but I need to use thumbprint to verify myself before I can get the QR code to transfer it. Is there a workaround? I have thumbprint verification turned off and it still asks for it. No options to use password that I can find. Transferring Google Authenticator to new phone, but old phone iPhone 6 has a broken home button. Oh well. A broken home button is really bad. Well, wait. My iPhone 6 has home button broke. Got a new iPhone and trying to duplicate Google Authenticator on my new phone, but I need to use the thumbprint to verify myself before I can get the QR code to transfer it. Is there a workaround? Yeah, you can turn off thumb verification before I can get a QR code to transfer it. Is there a workaround? I have thumbprint verification turned off, and it still asks for it. No options to use passwords that I can find. Well, Google Authenticator. Let me actually see if you can actually go online with that instead. That may solve his issue. Google Authenticator. Google Authenticator. Password recovery. Actually, online website. Oh yeah, GoogleAuthenticator.net. There we go. Turn on two-step. Okay, I think this will do it for him. Yeah, I think this will do it for him. Well, let me make sure this isn't bad. This looks a little iffy. Fact. Policies@google.com. That's not. That's a little iffy, bro. Hold on. Cause I've never seen a Google page be so small in options. Well, here. We'll look it up real quick just to make sure it's safe before we be like, oh yeah, try GoogleAuthenticator.net. Safe. I hate that we're having to use Bing for this, but it is what it is. Is secure. Okay. Is it two-step? Okay. So yeah, okay, cool. Let me actually see something real quick. So if we were to hit use now and then we sign in, it connects us to support.google.com. So I think this is okay. It looks okay. Policies, terms of service. Okay. Well, here. Well, it's kind of an interesting one. Well, what is this? That's saying that it's safe. Oh my goodness. We are going way overboard for this. Yeah, Google Authenticator. Google Authenticator. Okay, here we go. So if we go to the app itself and if we go to the app itself and oh yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, they may be able to just talk to the support in order to actually, yeah, we'll do it this way. This is safer. I don't really know. Like that site right there, it's not the same site that's associated with the Google Authenticator. So because of that, I'm gonna err on the side of caution because we don't want to do anything to hurt him. So especially because that's all his issue is. So what we'll say to this one is this. Well, Google Authenticator has a support line. You can email for assistance. We'll go to play.google because I know that is legit. And the other one is a little iffy. Ask for assistance. That is probably going to be your best bet as the it's probably going to be your best bet as well. See, I don't know if there's a way to work around the issue if that button, the middle button is gone. And it's an iPhone 6, so it's like an old iPhone. So it only has that one middle button, and plus it has like a power button. So if we look on the I have one, it's just that it's over here and it's cracked. Just like his. So if his button isn't working, and so he can't actually get to the applications, but his screen does work, but he can't log in because it's probably based off his thumbprint. But I need to use my thumbprint to verify myself before I can get the QR code to transfer it. So yeah, yeah, that's going to be a difficult one. That is probably going to be your best bet as I am unsure if there is a workaround for the iPhone since you don't have the main button. Yeah, without the main button, it's very difficult. That's like asking somebody, how to set up something without using the main button that you use to set that up. So yeah, it makes things a little bit difficult. But at the same time, he can just contact support and they can probably get rid of the other one if he can verify himself. I'm guessing he has access to everything else, like his email and phone number and stuff like that. So because of that, he may be able to authenticate and get that turned off on the phone remotely, and then be able to transfer it over, or they can give him access and a new QR code so that he can download it and get everything back. So I'm guessing something like that can happen, but he'll have to contact them in order to do that. That's probably going to be his best bet and his safest bet, because I don't know what that was that we just looked at. Even though it said Google Authenticator, it didn't look like Google Authenticator, because any version of Google has a bunch of screens. So I don't know about that one, but yeah, that's what I would do for this one. Okay, group 6 done. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, I'm up. Okay, so this is back to our networking issue with League of Legends. So he said League of Legends lagging with low ping and no packet loss. Lag with low ping and 0 packet loss. It only happens with League. I'll click back and forth and I'll stutter like crazy. If I hit a minion, it'll be delayed and my character will kind of glide. It feels like I'm playing on 100 ping when my ping is only like 40 to 50. Yeah, are you on Wi-Fi? If so, what happens when you plug computer directly into the router? Does that resolve your issue? Are there other people in your home with this issue? I live in an apartment alone, so I can't really test it. My computer is already connected to Ethernet, and when I tried using Wi-Fi, it did the same thing, just with a higher ping. Okay. Well, if I feel like it playing with 100 ping, another thing is that the game runs fine when my ping is sitting at 28, but will go up to like 10, and it suddenly feels like I'm playing at 100. Okay, well, if that's the case, what we would do is reboot the router and replace the Ethernet cable you are using to see if that makes a difference. Also, okay, what I'm thinking about is asking him to do a continuous ping, but I don't know if that will make much of a difference because his latency is seen only in game. So we'll say it like this. Also, is the latency you see apply to YouTube as well? As well as in, does the video buffer a lot while watching? So yeah, that'll be interesting. So we're gonna play it like that. So the reason why, if I can find my pen. So the reason why we say it this way, if this will come on, there we go. You're up, you're alive. So if we look at this here and, oh, sorry. There we go. And there we go. So if we look at this, and he's saying he has his computer, which is this guy here. Hey, look at you getting better at drawing squares. So he has his computer, right? And he's saying that he's going directly into his modem router because he lives in an apartment, right? So he's going directly into, well, this isn't a, there we go. There we go. So he's plugged into his modem router, right? We'll just go like that. All right. Just go like this. All right, so he's plugged directly into his modem router. So if he's plugged directly into his modem router and he's still seeing this ping, then that means that either A, it's this guy, or B, it's this guy. So we can basically, or it can be, you know, further down the line, you know, with the internet service provider. But what he can do within his home is to replace the Ethernet cable as well as reboot the router and see if that resolves the issue. If it doesn't, then he may have a case to go ahead and call his internet service provider and have them take a look. That's essentially how you would troubleshoot that one. That way you can pretty much eliminate any chance that it would be their fault. And then we can kind of go from there. So let me delete. Okay, let's go back to this and let's answer his question. Also, the latency you see apply to YouTube as well as in video buffering a lot while watching. Yeah, so we'll go with this. So the reason why you don't want to do a continuous ping, well, you can ask for a continuous ping, and a continuous ping is basically just saying ping a.a.a.8 space -t, which will continuously ping something. And you could ask for that. The only problem is he's only having this issue in gaming. So if we can verify that he has the issue in YouTube, and YouTube sends pretty decent sized packets as well, then we can go ahead and proceed further. So that's the reason why we're kind of doing it this way, and instead of telling him to just do a continuous ping. Because a lot of times with these latency issues, whenever you do pings, everything is perfectly fine. It's just that whenever you play the game, that's when you notice the problem. But yes, if we're talking about a business sense, then yeah, a ping would be what you would do. But at a residential sense, if he's only having the issue in game, then the best way to do it is try something else that also requires a lot of packets like YouTube. So yeah, we'll go with that and see exactly what he says here and then go from there. So okay, I knew this actually said something before. Throwaway. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Mr. Throwaway. I hope that helps. Okay, Xbox repeat. Okay, so Xbox issue. Let me turn on Xbox because it fell asleep again. Xbox app on PC is taking more space from games than it needs. Oh yeah, I remember this. So this person here is having an issue with JoJo. And if we go back to Xbox here, and we were looking at this and comparing it to what he had. So like if we go to system and storage, what he's saying is this one, view contents. So what he's saying is for JoJo's, whenever he goes to this guy, he is seeing that the amount of storage is doubled. He said he downloaded it from the Xbox Game Pass, and for some reason, whenever he goes to the game, it is showing that it is showing more than the 4.8 gigs. So I see 4.8 gigs. He sees like 9.4 or 4.2, and he sees 9.4 gigs. And I was like, okay, well, if you're seeing 9.4 gigs, then maybe you downloaded the pass, like the season pass. But he's saying he just downloaded from the Xbox Game Pass. So I said, okay, well, the best way to find that out is by searching for JoJo, then going there to see it in a Microsoft store. And he says, I looked for the game in the PC Game Pass section. I don't have Ultimate. I just click download, then it takes 2 times the space. It doesn't say it comes with anything else. Okay. Okay. But when you were in the Game Pass, if you went to the season pass on the right, did it show up that it was installed? Also, do other games have this problem? And this is what does this say? Okay, this is a regular old Xbox. Well, it just says Xbox. I'm not sure if he has a Series S or X. Also, do other games have this problem? And what kind of Xbox is this? Is your disk full? It's kind of interesting that it would download such a big file when it doesn't download a big file whenever I try it on the X. He may have like a S or the original Xbox or something like that, and maybe it feels a need to. But yeah, I see it as 4.2 as well. So I just don't think that it would be an issue with the Xbox console. If it's meant to be 9.4, it's meant to be 9.4. You see what I'm saying? So for it to show 4.2 and then down 9.4 or download 9.4, it means that one, he may be on a system that it may require that because, you know, he may be on like the original Xbox or something like that. So it may have to download different shaders than it does for the Xbox Series X. It may be something along those lines, which means that it may be a situation where he can't recreate the issue. Like, for example, if he tried to download another game that's free and it basically does not give him that issue. So I'm thinking that may be the case, or maybe it's just doing something because he is on an older Xbox instead of the newer Xbox. So it may be different shaders. So because of that, it's a bigger file. It could be a few different things. But at the same time, the only thing he can really do with that is to update his firmware, or wipe it and then see if that resolves the issue. And if it doesn't, then it's really just the game at that point, because you can't really control how big the file is going to be from the game provider. You see what I'm saying? If it's big, it's big. You know what I mean? And the fact that it's showing him 4.2 and it's showing me 4.2, but then when he downloads it's showing 9.4, that just means that, you know, for whatever system that he's currently running, maybe it feels that it needs to download more stuff, but that's going to be a developer issue. There's nothing that he's doing wrong on that one. And there's nothing he can really troubleshoot outside of firmware updates, which I'm sure he's probably are the most up to date, but we can go ahead and ask him if we haven't. Is it possible you download the season pass with this, or you bought a bundle that included the season pass? Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and tell him just in case he didn't. Also, try to update the firmware and the system settings, which is system updates. System settings, which is system updates. System settings. Try to update the firmware and the system settings. Updates. Okay, just let him know, just in case he hasn't. And see if that will address his issue. But yeah, that's right. That's like literally from the developer. So I'm not exactly sure if there's going to be any way of going about that, because I think that, you know, it depends on what kind of Xbox he has, because I'm not having that issue. But at the same time, I have an X. So he probably has like an S or a Xbox One or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see what he says. So we'll just go from there. Alrighty, gamers rise up. I hope that helps. Keep us posted, bro. Oh, okay, so we went back to Windows. Okay, so all keyboards on my computer keep malfunctioning. Okay, so this is the guy who had issues with like his buttons malfunctioning on his keyboard, and he reset his PC and the problem came back. So connect to PC, have the F key and N controls disabled, only spam random keys, fixes it for like 10 minutes, and then the problem comes back. So, okay, well, what happens when you plug it into a different port, particularly one in the front of the case? Is your keyboard wired or wireless? Be sure to install the most up-to-date drivers for your keyboard to see if that helps. He said the keyboard is wired. I tried switching ports and also downloaded the latest drivers, but the problem persists, but thank you anyway. And then I said, okay, do you have any wireless keyboards per chance? But what you can try would be to reboot into safe mode. And he said, I tried, but it still doesn't work. I don't have a wireless keyboard. Okay. So it's a wired keyboard, and it appears that the buttons themselves are not working properly. My laptop was pretty broken when I got it, but I didn't worry. 1 year later, the warranty expired. $200+ spent on fixes, and the HDD just failed, though I just bought it. Oh my God, Stro. I had that problem. Some games download DLCs inside the base games, even when you didn't buy the DLC, so it takes more space. Oh, you smart bastard. Also, a colleague just informed me that there is a possibility that the Xbox that you are using is down, well, let's say it like this, possibility that the game is downloading DLC within the game. It's possibility that the game is downloading DLC within the game, and that is increasing the file size. It also would mean that you have a different Xbox than me, as the X does show 4.2 gigs. Okay, that's a good idea. Thanks. Good luck on that. I appreciate that, Stro. Yeah, that's a smart one. Okay. So yeah, with this one here, so he's tried what I mean, so we're talking about a wired keyboard one, and he said he tried, but it still doesn't work. I have a wireless keyboard. So he tried to get into safe mode and it didn't work. So safe mode did not work. Okay, it could be the fact that he probably tries to press a button and is still having an issue, and because of that, safe mode didn't actually pull up. So safe mode did not work, correct? Okay, so he may not have been able to get into safe mode. So, well, okay, one, I don't think there's anything that we can do with this. Well, for starters, well, I don't think we can do much with this one because the keyboard is wired and giving you the issue upon boot. Did I already say if you can try other devices, particularly one in the front? Are there other devices in your home you can try it with? If not, it appears to be a faulty keyboard. I used to have keyboards like this where like you press it and you like hit it and then it'll start working. It's kind of like back with like Nintendo products, and like you had to like blow the actual game in order to put that in. I know that's ahead of everybody's time, or behind, or older than most people, but back in my day, that's what we used to have to do. We have to like blow on the Nintendo cartridge to actually put it in, and then I used to make like songs and stuff to actually get it to work. Like Super Mario Brothers 3, like that game would never work for me, so I had to to like shimmy it in, and I feel like that's what he may end up having to do, like just bang on his keyboard in order to get it to work. But that typically means that it's on his way out. So yeah, and on top of that, if he's having the issue while it's booting, that means that you can't blame Windows for it. So he's kind of in a bad spot here. All we can really say to this is that he may need a new keyboard. So faulty keyboard, yeah. Yeah, I'll just let him know, because at some point you got to go ahead and call it, because with this one here, you know, he's tried just about everything, but if we give him a few options, you know, you got to make sure if we can get him in a safe mode, that way we can make sure without a shadow of a doubt that it's not the PC. But if he has another computer, that would also prove the exact same thing. So if he can try to go to another computer in the home, and then we can kind of go from there and see if that affects it, but we'll find out. So Sakaido, keep us posted. We like your name because it's very easy for me to pronounce. Okay, so now we're going to NVIDIA GPU. I like this range though, man. We go from Xbox to PC to networking, and now we are on GPUs. That's some nice range. I like it. Turns me into like LeBron James when it comes to this tech support stuff. Video artifacting on NVIDIA used GPU. Okay, I remember this. Okay. So he bought a 3060 and then he uninstalled the old drivers, but he's getting artifacting. And okay, so basically the artifacts have a pinkish purplish tint and seem to be falling with some dots scattered over the screen. As soon as I disable hardware acceleration, the problem is resolved. I have stress tested the GPU using MSI Combustor with the check of VRAM settings enabled. No issues while stressing the game so far. The card idles at around 50 degrees Celsius with the fans turned off. And I said, well, if it's artifacting but not getting hot, I would check for updates on the graphics card, but I also would try to change the port and input of the graphics card to the monitor to see if that makes a difference. Finally, you could also try to reseat the graphics card and see if it makes a difference. Okay, I didn't tell him the truth. So I'll probably tell him the truth on this one here. I tried all the suggestions, but it didn't remedy the issue. Thanks for the input. No problem, bro. No problem, bro. That's what we are here for. But this one seems like it's on its way out, unfortunately. All right, I can explain this. Well, he said that it was at 50 degrees Celsius with the fans turned off. Well, we can ask him. We said, but he said it was not getting hot. And he said, I tried to remedy this issue, but it didn't remedy the issue. So maybe it's a possibility that the card is getting hot, but not actually addressing it. That can also explain it. But if the card is getting hot, then the memory is damn near gone. So yeah, no problem, bro. What we're here for, this one seems like it's on its way out, unfortunately. I can explain this before we actually tell him. So with this one here, yeah, it's a rip. But with this one here, okay. So with mining cards, right? And I've had millions die. Well, I wouldn't say millions. I only had like 100, but I've had a few die. And the way they present their issues is like this. It will start having issues and you will see artifacts coming in on the screen. The reason why you see these artifacts happening on the screen is because the memory has been utilized to maximum for so long. So basically what they're actually doing is it's actually just maxing out the memory. And then some people would downclock it to upgrade the memory, especially like if you get like a Samsung memory. Oh my God, you can get so many extra frames if you were to downclock it and then make the memory stronger and all that kind of stuff, right? So the memory is always pegged whenever you're using it for a mining GPU. But one of the quick signs you can tell that there may be a problem with the memory is if it starts doing this. So if it starts to artifact and show pictures or screens kind of going in and out and tearing and stuff like that, and you know that the HDMI cable is good, you know that the monitor is good, then that is a telltale sign that this card may have been used for mining, because that's typically when you run into that situation. Because when you look at every single game known in human existence, right, you're only talking about 0 to maybe 4 gigs of RAM utilization on that actual graphics card, maybe a little bit higher depending on what you're running and how much eye candy you like. I think COD hits like 6 to 8, right? So, but at the same time, you know, it never gets to 24. Like if you have 24 gigs, it never gets there, right? But if you actually mine, then it's going to be maxed out 24/7. So a lot of times whenever I run into this issue, it almost always stems back from a mining GPU. But at the same time, a regular GPU can do this too. It's just that it takes forever. Like I have a GTX 580 in my desk right now from like, I don't know, 15 years ago that still works. And when, you know, because they will last a really, really long time if they're not being used for mining. So no problem, bro. So what we're here for. But this one seems like it's on its way out, unfortunately. There is a possibility, bro is playing Cyberpunk and God all at once. Yeah. There's a possibility that the memory may be shot on this guy. We just did a video on this, right? So it was like miners having their memories painted yellow, and like some of the mining cards that were just completely thrashed from the memory utilization of mining had the actual memory slots, the DIMM modules on the actual boards of the GPUs were yellow instead of silver. I mean, that was crazy to think that it got that hot. And yeah, I can see that happening. There's a possibility that the memory may be shot on this guy as it's showing signs of death. We'll just call it cancer. Yeah, it's showing signs of cancer, bro. Like that's not good. That's not good. If it's artifacting and you check the temperatures and the temperatures are low and it's doing artifacting like that and you've already changed all the inputs and you're still having that issue and it's still artifacting, like it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. But yes, overheating is a true sign of artifacting as well. But if it's not artifacting, bro, oof. Alrighty. Back to Xbox One S. Okay, cool. Maybe I should have gotten a 1S instead of the 1X. I'm still trying to debate it. I felt that, you know, going into the future, it makes sense to have an X, as most people will eventually get there. So I was like, okay, well, there's no point in, you know, going with the original Xbox or the Xbox One S and not future-proofing myself. So I was like, I'll just go with this one instead. I regret to inform you, your GPU has stage 4 cancer. Exactly. Yeah, it's on its way out the door, man. As soon as you start seeing, like, artifacting is probably one of the worst signs you can have to a GPU. As soon as you start seeing artifacting, man, it's starting to be real bad. You better hope it's that cable. You better hope it's that input. Because if it's not that cable or that input or that monitor, boy, you about to have a real bad time. You about to, like I had to bury my 1080 Ti because of that. And it was a 1080 Ti mini. Pour one out to my homie, but that's exactly what it did. But I was also using it for mining, and that little card cannot handle mining. But I still did it because I don't know, I'm an idiot. But let's see what this one is. Controller keeps disconnecting. Oh yeah, that's right. This is the guy with the controller issue with the whole Bluetooth situation. My controller randomly disconnects and starts flashing. After a second, it will reconnect, but it's really annoying. I've tried everything that I've read online, but nothing seems to work. This is happening with both my controllers. Someone please help. Well, that's not good. And I was saying, okay, well, are they sharing the same battery pack? Because I would explain why they're both having the issue, because maybe the battery is being drained a little bit quicker than normal. But outside of that, it kind of points more to the Xbox. Yeah, kind of. Outside of that, could you go into the settings and check for updates to see if that does it as well? I feel like the batteries, because they're kind of crappy ones. Okay, well, because they're kind okay. Wow. Greetings. I am a language corrector bot to make me ignore further mistakes from you in the future. Reply. Opt out to this comment. Jesus Christ. Okay, well, I didn't do that, but I feel like it's the batteries because they're kind of crappy ones. Yeah. I would say this. Since it's batteries and not a battery pack, change out the batteries. Change out the batteries, but only on one of them, and see if the one with the new batteries fixes the issue. If it doesn't, you're in trouble. So yeah, if you change it out and the one of the controllers with new batteries and that guy doesn't have the issue anymore, then it's just, you know, your batteries are going out and you probably bought them at the same time and replaced them at the same time. So yeah, the cheap batteries with these guys, it's not the best idea. It comes with Duracell, so you already know what they about. So I mean, it don't come with Panasonic, it don't come with Best Buy type batteries, it comes with Duracell, so you already know what you were getting yourself into. This reminds me of like when the Sega Game Gear came out, and people used to buy like my mom bought me like the Sega Game Gear when I was like 12. And when it came out, my mom also bought me like these Panasonic batteries. They worked for like 9 minutes. I like powered it on, heard the Sega, and it was immediately out. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't like buy me some better batteries. Like, what do you expect me to do with this? So basically she just bought me a gigantic paperweight because we couldn't afford the batteries for the Sega Game Gear, but she can afford the Game Gear. So that's exactly what this reminds me of. Come on, bro. Like if it's showing Duracell, you know it probably wants Duracell. Yeah, he can also do a USB-C cable. Yeah, but I guess we can tell him that. I think he probably already figured that one. Let me see. Yeah, we can go let him know. But fun fact. They also work wired. We'll just meme them like the bot did. Fun fact, they also work wired. So yeah, we'll just go with that one. But yeah, if he's having Bluetooth, if they both are still having the issue, even after the new batteries, then yeah, we're going to be looking at the Xbox here and the Xbox Bluetooth connectivity, which means that he's going to be looking for an update or a refresh of the hard drive to see if it helps anything. But at the same time, that probably won't. It's just going to be like a faulty Bluetooth device on the Xbox device, and you maybe try to look for an RMA on that one. So yeah, if this doesn't fix it, then you are in big trouble, mister. You may have to go for an RMA on that. Okay, PC gamer. So we're talking about another accessory issue. So let's do this. Okay, why is everybody having issues with controllers these days? Recently, my PC graphics card. Oh no, this wasn't a. What are you talking about? PC gamer struggling with controller. Recently, my PC graphics card went pop, and instead of buying a new card, I got myself an Xbox One S at a fraction of the price. Oh, okay, gotcha. The problem I have now is after playing games with a mouse and keyboard for over 10 years, I suck so bad with that controller. Oh, okay, I remember this. So this guy doesn't have an issue at all. It's just that he sucks at Overwatch 2, which basically is kind of like a get good game, but he doesn't want to get good on Overwatch 2. He wants to get good somewhere else. So I was telling him that he was wanting to know other games that you can try that would help him get good so that he stops sucking at Overwatch with controllers. And I was like, yeah, even I don't use Overwatch with controllers, and I use controllers for everything. I play COD with controllers, but Overwatch is one of those games, you do not want to play with controllers. You'll get murked, especially if you're going against people who don't play with controllers. But I think they have a way of changing that. But yeah, Overwatch is it's not the best game when it comes to controllers because a lot of those characters are shooting based, especially like a Widow or Hanzo. Well, Devil May Cry would be a good start and a good game at that, as well as Mortal Kombat 10 because it's free. You can also try Overwatch 2 as you can essentially create private matches to get better, but yeah, Overwatch 2 with the controller is a pain. So yeah, basically get good mentality. He said, I have heard good things about Devil May Cry, so that one is a good shout. Overwatch 2 was just awful. Well, I was. Make me think if I should have just forked out a graphics card. LOL, thank you for the feedback. No problem, bro. That's what we're here for. We collect W's is what we do. But I don't know if I'm gonna type all that. No problem, bro. We are here to help. We collect W's. It's kinda our thing. So yeah. So help out the guy, you know, make sure he knows. But yeah, I would go for Devil May Cry on that one. That would probably be the best way because it kind of starts kind of easy, but then when you start getting the combos together, it'll help you with your hand-eye coordination with the actual game because you know it start rating you and giving you A's and S's and like 18 S's if you do really well. So that's the reason why I say Devil May Cry because it'll just give you a score. Like if you get a C, then obviously you probably need to get good. so yeah, we collect W's here, bro. We like don't get it twisted. We help like 50 people a day, but we still want our W's, okay? Or assist trophies. We'll take either one. We're basically LeBron at this point. We want every W and every assist trophy. Okay, Raisin Kraken V3 keeps disconnecting. That's the post, brand new. Okay, so he's just gonna say the issue right then and there. That's the post, brand new. Every time I turn off my PC, next time up, they don't play any sound. I have to disconnect them and connect back again. The headsets are great, but this little annoying thing is going to make me send them back to the store. So Raising Kraken V3, I'm guessing it's going to be a headset, but let's look it up real quick so we can actually see what it looks like. Open link in new tab. Oh my God, not that. Google Razer Kraken V3. Just to see what kind of inputs it has. Best Buy maybe actually be a little bit better. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's go here, and then let's go here. Okay, so it's wired. Okay, so we're dealing with a wired controller here. So does anyone know a solution? So it keeps disconnecting. It sounds like your PC may be having a bit of difficulty connecting up to the device. What we can try to is this, go to device manager. Then when that pulls up, go down to your Bluetooth device, then make sure, oh, it's not Bluetooth. I did that for USB ports and it didn't work. Oh, okay, that's my fault. That's my fault. Because it looks like I didn't Google it last time, but yeah, it's wired. There's a cable hanging right off of it. So it's USB. So he's having an issue with a USB mic that isn't connecting. So if that's my apologies, actually, let me apologize for that. My apologies. That was lazy troubleshooting. So for this one, since it's wired only, you can try to plug it into the USB, into a different USB port, particularly on the front of the case. Also, I was gonna see if he has a powered USB hub, but that may not be a good idea in this particular situation because his audio and mic are coming from the same headset. So if you plug it up to a powered USB, it may have some delay in it, and we don't want to have that, especially if he's doing some streaming. So that's the reason why I don't want to say powered USB, but yes, if it wasn't a streamer, then powered USB is a good way to go. But if he wants to do a video of himself, then that would actually increase the latency. My apologies, that was lazy troubleshooting. So for this one, since it's wired only, you can try to plug it into a different USB port, particularly on the front of the case. Also, when you do have the issue and it's not detected, does it show up in the USB section of device manager? Keeping everything device manager because we're already there. So yeah, does it show up in the USB section of device manager? And just kind of go from there. So if it does show up in the USB section of device manager, then it may just be some configuration issues and he may have to download some software. But if it doesn't show up, then yeah, that's not good either. Does it show up in the USB section of device manager? see if there's anything else I want to say on this. My apologies, that was lazy troubleshooting. So for this one, since it's wired only, you can try to plug it into a different USB port. Particularly, might be switching audio outputs in the sound area. Yes. He says it's. What did he say? Next time up, they don't play any sound. I have to disconnect them and connect them back again. The headsets are great, but this little annoying thing is gonna make me. Oh. Wow, Anthony. Yep, you are right. Also, when you do have the issue, if it's not detected, does it show up in the USB section of Device Manager? Yeah, we can go ahead and add it. Because I want him to reply to both, but yeah, we'll go ahead and add it. Also, be sure to check the sound settings when the issue occurs. Also, be sure to check the sound settings when the issue occurs. Check the sound setting when the issue occurs to see if the audio has not been overtaken by another device, as it can lose its precedence if another device is set as default. Yeah, we'll play it both ways. So we can play it both ways. Device Manager will tell us more. If we go, happens to me, doesn't recognize until I unplugged or switch it manually. Yeah, a lot of times whenever I see that issue, it's usually going to be because of the default device. Like, for example, you may have to set it as the default communication device and the actual default device for it to actually show it properly. Because for some reason, like, for example, the graphics card spins up before the actual USB ports are actually detected. So it can have that kind of a situation where one takes precedence over the other. But usually changing it to default is kind of the best way to handle that situation. But if he's having this issue, I mean, we can also check the Device Manager in order to see if it's actually there, because if it's there, then this would be true. But if it's not there, then we have a bigger problem. So yeah, we'll play it both ways and see what he says. Also be sure to check these sound settings, as it can lose precedence if another device is set as a default. So yeah, we'll go both ways. And yeah, it was just us talking too. So yeah, Mr. Kraken, Spectrum, Mr. Spectrum. I hope that helps, man. Keep us posted. A shameless shipper. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is another repeat. Oh, and it's PlayStation. Let's do this. I didn't know if I had any PlayStation ones. Can I download a game trial to a USB on my computer? No. I think we talked about this. Because okay, PlayStation 4 has this issue with the Final Fantasy 14. Well, I guess it's not really an issue. It's just that Final Fantasy 14 is huge. Like, if we look, let's see. Maybe I can show it. PlayStation button. Okay, so Final Fantasy 14, I think it is one of the biggest games. Let's see. Game library. Do I have Final Fantasy 14 on here anymore? No, I do not. Okay, yeah, so Final Fantasy 14 is literally one of the biggest games out there. It's like 50 or 60 gigs. And let me see if I can just grab it from the store. Oh, I'm not signed in. Okay, maybe not. But yeah, so it's one of the biggest games out there. Like it's like 60 gigs, like it's huge. So yeah, on a PS4, depending on how it's connected, it can be definitely a pain. Plus, it's on a hard drive. So yeah, I've seen lots of people with issues with that, especially whenever they have like the God of War bundles or just hard drives in general. It's a slow hard drive. Plus, they may have a slow download speed. Thanks, my dude. Is there a difference in game load times between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro? PS4 and the PS4 Pro? I don't. Well, didn't the PS4 Pro have an SSD? I'm pretty sure it did. Does the PS4 Pro have a SSD? The best SSD. No, I know we can upgrade it. PS4 Pro versus PS4. Okay, yeah, there we go. This is taking me back here. Yeah, it's faster. Yeah, I knew it was a little bit faster, but I just felt that the PS4 Pro had an SSD. But I may be wrong. I got it towards the end whenever I got the God of War bundle, like the first one. PS4 versus PS4 Pro can go as high as 2160. Yeah, I know that. But I think they both, should you blah 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 blah. Main difference when on PS4 is the resolution. Yeah, we got the resolution thing. I know it's stronger and faster, but I could not remember. Here, let me actually do it from here. SSD. Okay, but if you are looking for a boost in upgrade performances, as for loading times, the PS4 Pro offers a small improvement. Okay, so that means that it's not an SSD. Okay, I just needed to make sure because I was like, man, I was wondering if it was a difference. What did he ask? Okay. Thanks, my dudes. Are a difference in game load times? Slightly, but not likely when it comes to load times, as I believe they both use hard drives. So you may be better off buying a SSD than upgrading to a PS4 Pro, or just going with a PS5 as it also has a SSD. Oh, well, it's NVMe at this point, and NVMe SSD. That's what we'll say for that, because him buying a new SSD that's 500 gig is actually going to be cheaper than him upgrading to the PS4 Pro. Even if he takes it back to like a GameStop, he's probably only get like maybe $80, depending on if there's a special or not. So if we're talking about him getting $80 and the PS4 Pro is probably like 2 something, you know, so 180, 200, he'll be better off just going with an SSD, which is like $50 at, you know, like a 500 gig SSD, and I'll probably give him way more than what he's currently dealing with right now. And even though his performance will still be kind of lacking because it's 1080p, but his issue was he was just asking for load time, so we'll just play it that way and see what he says. But he's only just asking for advice at this point. So I think we will take that as a W, good sir. So a shameless shipper, I hope that helps. Let us know if you have any questions. But yeah, I would rank a SSD, a 500 gig SSD over a PS4 Pro any day, because, you know, you can keep your PS4 and then just get the SSD if you can't afford the PS5. Okay, Lenovo M10. This is what was it? This is a tablet. So basically, this guy here, he has the M10 Plus, which is a tablet, and he had issues trying to install the Android data transfer. And we went back and forth about this, but basically he ended up fixing his issue. And his issue was basically whenever you try to boot up, like it's not just Android, right? But like when you go to Android or iOS, so for example, with iOS, it tries to run a backup and try to restore all of the settings that it had from the iPhone or any other Apple device you have. Well, Android has the exact same thing, and it tries to do a backup. And I think with him, I think he was actually using a recovery software instead of using like the default login to Google and then restore everything from Google. I think he wasn't using that. I think he was actually using an actual software. He said, oh, no, I take that back. He says data restore tool was built in. It is supposed to transfer data from your old device to your new one, but was not working correctly during the setup process. I had to find it in the Google Play Store to uninstall it. It doesn't appear on the device's app list because it is an Android system app. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for the info, bro. Glad your issue got resolved. We'll take assist trophies. Yeah, there's no way to really know. Like, I can't have every single device here. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting one with that one, because it's like, okay, well, I thought that it just kind of like is a Google part of it, but it appears that it's his own application, and that's what was causing him issues here. So once he uninstalled it, he was able to get it working. But yeah, that's so rare. But yeah, I'm glad he was able to get it fixed. So hey, I'll take that. So Lenovo M10 and Aesthetic Hillbilly, I'm glad you got your issue fixed. All right, iPhone. I remember this one. Let me I was going to say let me get a swig, but apparently I am out of swigs. Okay. Move this out the way, and let's go with this one here. All right, more water. Let's do this. All right, so iPhone. Oh, I'm doing this without a fan. That's kind of nice. I usually have a fan blowing on me, but apparently it's so cold outside I don't need one. Cats and Waits. Cats and Waits was talking about iPhone lost opening Safari tabs. All right, so here's his issue. And we'll switch back to work. Here's his issue. So basically with him, he's having an issue with his Safari tabs, and just I was thinking that it was actually just tabs in general, but he kept mentioning Safari tabs. And essentially what was happening is, let's say he goes to a few different tabs and then he leaves and comes back. Well, it'll be back on the home screen as if he just opened up Safari. So basically, it wasn't able to load anything into memory. So any of his tabs would not load into memory for some strange reason. Even if he opened up hundreds of tabs, it would go back to normal. The only way to lose them would be to accidentally close them, which I was cautious enough never to do. And so, oh, I'm sorry. This is actually the reverse. So we've had several of these issues. So I apologize. I could clear my history in tabs I use day to day without affecting the hundreds of open tabs in the background. The only way to lose them would be to accidentally close them, which I was cautious enough never to do. So this one, he basically had 1 million tabs, and he made sure that he never closed them, because on iPhones and Androids, they will save your tab history forever and ever and ever and ever, and it will always have them up, and it'll be like 70 something tabs. Like I have like 67 right now, and he made sure that he did not close them, but then he lost them, and he wants to know if there's a way that he can get them back. But then Safari did its crashing thing yesterday, and now the tabs aren't there anymore. I open and reopen my Safari, and they aren't there. I have restarted my phone. They're gone. All right, I gotta head out. Have a good, you too, Stro. I appreciate it, bro. Keep looking out. I appreciate it. Okay, well, what browser was this in? Were you in incognito mode? More than likely, those websites will be in your history, and you can restore from that. Also, some browsers share tab information with other devices on the same browser, so it's possible it could be stored by the cloud as well. And he said he was in Safari on iPhone 8, not incognito mode. Well, that didn't answer my question. Well, I said what browser, then I said, were you in incognito mode? Okay. Being in history. Okay. So are those browsers in the history of, were those browsers in the history of your Safari tabs? So are those browsers in the history of your Safari tabs? That's pretty much all you can do, bro. So yeah, we just gotta, yeah, it's just us talking too. So yeah, he kind of gave a short answer, so I guess we'll give him a short question. But I mean, that's kind of the only way we can do with this one, because if they're gone, they're more than likely gone. But if they're in the history, then he can probably get some of them back if he can just remember when it happened and when he actually opened those particular tabs, or just kind of open it up based on days. So yeah, he could try his history, but that's pretty much all he can do on that one. Okay, well, cats and waits, keep us posted. See, in fact, that was super short. What was that, 2? I feel like that was group 2. Oh yeah, okay, well, that's definitely not that one. Group 2? Yeah, that was group 2. All right, so group 5 is where we're at. Okay, let's do this. What is this? Okay, no and no. All right, bet. All right. Oh man, we're going Xbox crazy on this one. Xbox X controller won't connect after new LG TV, and it's a new one. Hi all, we've tried searching the internet for answers but have no success. We got a new LG TV for the first few days of getting everything hooked up. Everything worked great. Now the Xbox X controller has stopped working, and instead LG TV remote is connected to it, and we're not sure how because we never tried to pair them in the first place. The Xbox controller can turn the Xbox on and off, but doesn't move around the menu screen at all. The LG remote moves around the menu screen instead. I have searched through the TV and Xbox settings trying to disconnect the remote and reconnect the controller, but it's all failed. The Xbox controller won't connect by direct connection or by pairing buttons on the console. The TV is an LG ThinQ for reference. Any advice would be appreciated. That's an interesting one. So yeah, with this one here, so let's think about this one. So he is saying that his let's make sure we understand this correctly. So what you are saying is the LG ThinQ remote is controlling the Xbox menu, and the Xbox controller is controlling the TV? Is this correct? Okay, well, there's a couple things you can do here. Okay, well, there is a couple of things we can do to break both of them. One, pair the Xbox controller to your phone. Once paired, disconnect the Xbox controller. Xbox controller can only pair to one device. So let's pair it to the phone. And once it's connected to the phone, disconnect it from the phone and then pair it to the Xbox. Once paired, disconnect the Xbox controller and pair the Xbox controller. Let's pair, disconnect the Xbox controller. Actually, then try to connect the remote to the phone. This may not work. This may not work, but possible. May not work, but it sounds like, well, no, because I think this one maybe well, okay. Once paired, disconnect the Xbox controller. Then hook up the Xbox controller wired to the Xbox to see if it's able to work properly. Yeah, so we'll do it that way, right? So then hook up the Xbox controller wired to the Xbox to see if it's able to work properly. And okay, well, there's a couple things we can do. If it does, then all that leaves is the, well, actually, we won't have to say all that. As for the remote, what happens if you do a factory reset on the ThinQ? So we'll play the remote that way. So we'll play the remote with a factory reset to the television, and we'll play the Xbox controller with a factory reset to your phone. So essentially pairing it with your phone and then unpairing it from your phone so that it can go into the searching mode and then go ahead and hook it up. But ideally with the Xbox controller, once you start to unplug it and try to pair with something else, that usually should fix it. But you can't pair with the TV or his Xbox because they're both having the issue. So to break it, just pair it with your phone and let the phone break it, and then try to pair it with the Xbox by plugging it in directly and seeing if that actually fixes the issue. Because obviously the Xbox can have more than one device hooked up, so we'll work with that one. As for the remote, I don't think you can pair that remote to a phone. It's a possibility if they're both using Bluetooth, because I mean, it seems like they would use Bluetooth if the Xbox is actually working when actually paired with the controller. So it appears that it may be communicating via Bluetooth. You can also try to disable the Bluetooth adapter, but that won't actually do anything for the two devices. So yeah, I would go for this one here. So basically do a factory reset on the ThinQ. He just got it, so he probably won't miss anything. So just go ahead and do a factory reset on the ThinQ and see if that makes a difference, because it will release the Xbox controller and it would release the regular controller or the regular remote if that's the case. So hopefully that will actually get him working. So either 1, 2, and 3 or this guy. One of them should do something. So I guess we'll find out here pretty soon. Alrighty, Cowboy Zep. That is some pro troubleshooting. Hopefully that helps. Okay, do I need my headset? I feel like I need my headset for this one. Okay. So this is from Pyrotin. Yo, that sounds like a Pokemon. That so sounds like a Pokemon. That would be the best fire poison Pokemon ever. Pyrotin. Pyrotin writes, dual sense not turning on. The light flashes orange once and back off, and the PS button does nothing. Already tried resetting. What now? Looked all around on how to fix this. Okay, so it's not turning on, the light flashes. Girl, steady your camera. Oh no, that's the I'm sorry. I misgendered you. I apologize. I didn't know, man. I looked on the side there. I thought that was a pink phone. So I apologize, bro. Okay, it's red, maybe. That's not how you do that. I don't think that actually does anything. So, like, if we look, okay, I guess we'll find out before I will. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. I thought you, well, that's no, I thought. I thought you hold down the PlayStation button in order for it to actually do something. So for him just pressing it, it looks like he should hold it. It's not turning on, the light flashes orange once and back off. So there's a few questions. Everything but couldn't solve it. Then one comment seemed odd to me. It seems like along the lines, I tried the old fashioned way and banged it and got it to work again. What? That actually did the trick. Honestly, since I was on the cusp of buying a new one. Oh, he's giving his advice. Okay. I was like, hold up. I thought he was saying that he fixed the issue. Okay, so for this one, what is it plugged into? So yeah, so we got to know what it's plugged into because that's kind of an interesting one. It's showing orange, which means that it's more than likely plugged into a computer or a PlayStation, but we can't make that assumption. Is it plugged into the PS5 or into a PC? Is it plugged into the PS5 or plugged into a PC? Also, what happens if you hold the PS5 button down? There's also a way to reset the PS5 controller. Reset PS5 controller. Oh, it's on the back. That button right there. Come on. Okay. There it is. You see that little circle right there? It appears that's how you reset it. Okay. So we can have them reset the controller. Where were we? Yeah. Okay, so for this one here, is it plugged in? What is it plugged into? If it's plugged into the PS5 or into a PC. Also, what happens if you hold the PS5 button down? On top of that, there is a reset button on the back. It is a small hole next to the label. Try to hold that down for a few seconds to see if the controller resets. Once reset, try to pair it to the PS5 again. And we'll link the video. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to click there. Copy link. Oh my goodness. This is the whole reason why I set the, oh my goodness. No, Bing. No, you stop it. Jesus. Okay. Just go to YouTube and then grab the YouTube video. That's crazy. Control C. And then go back here. And there we go. There we go. That's much shorter. I ain't trying to create a whole paragraph of a link to follow. Why does it still say it's a Bing video search? That's really annoying, but whatever. Bing doing Bing things, I guess that's what we'll call it. But yeah, with this one here, try the reset to see if that actually gets the controller to work. A lot of times it has that issue. Like I run into this problem a lot. Well, not necessarily with it coming on, but with this issue, right? Because like when he starts to get those orange lights, that typically means that it's paired to a PC. And so like whenever I plug it into a PC to try to charge it, I also pair it. So then it doesn't work with the PS5 controller or the PS5. So I have to repair it back to the PS5. So you run into those situations a lot with that particular controller. Okay, well, I hope that helps. Pyrodin. Okay, Acid Nice. Okay, cool. This is a new one, it looks like. Oh yeah, it's a new one. And it's long. Let me get ready. Okay. I like this. I like this setup now. Because now we can go between Xbox, PS5, Windows 10 with AMD, and Windows 11 with NVIDIA. This is going to be great. So actually, speaking of that, let me actually kill that screen so you guys don't see it. I don't think it actually came in the audio, but let me get rid of that real quick. Just to make sure, because that's just me monitoring stuff. Oh, yeah. I didn't hear anything. Okay, yeah, in Windows 11. So now we can switch to everything. So it really just kind of depends on whatever issue we're troubleshooting now. We should be able to switch to it. So yeah, this is going to be real good, real good. I'm so excited. All right, back to Xbox Series X. So I am a longtime Xbox fan, but unfortunately a little late to the next-gen party. Me too, bro. Very recently I had, well, late to this one because I just, Xbox Series X versus a PC. I'm going to choose the PC. But as far as troubleshooting, I'll choose both. Very recently, I had acquired an Xbox Series X straight from Microsoft. Sweet. And I've been having nothing but connection issues with it since I've gotten it. Not sweet. Whenever I play a game online or offline, I will randomly get disconnected from Xbox Live anywhere from a few seconds to a couple minutes, sometimes even forcing me to restart the Xbox to reconnect. When this issue occurs, it will say that my NAT type is open, but service info is unavailable. I'm always hardwired, but I've tried wireless and it did the same thing too. Okay. This occurs every day. Some days are more bearable than others, allowing me to play some games online without too much of a hitch, and sometimes the whole Xbox is borderline unplayable. For whatever reason, despite saying service info is unavailable, if I was to download any games off the network, it'll have no issue, continuing to download them. Now, before anyone says it's a network issue, I think it's possible, but my Xbox One S worked perfectly fine, wired and wireless, and still does to this day. Due to the area I live in, I don't have all too much support with my internet service provider, so I may be cucked out of ever playing Xbox Series X as long as I live in my current house, which will be the case for at least a few more years. Nah, bro, we got you. Is it ultimately worth returning? I've played Xbox my whole life, but this really doesn't seem hopeful and might have to switch to PS5 going further with my gaming or PC. No, but I do rank PS5 over Xbox, but you know, that's not why you should switch. Down below is a header. I have written down everything that I have done to troubleshoot. Hard reset, cache clear, and then he also did a router reset. He did an Xbox factory reset. He called Microsoft support, cleared his MAC address, switched ports, tested network connection, tested multiplayer connection, says it's all good. Okay, so when the issue occurs, it will say that my NIT type is open, but service info is unavailable. I am playing online or offline. I will randomly get disconnected from Xbox Live anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes. Sometimes even forcing me, okay, well, okay. Nah, you don't have to return. This is actually our specialty. This is actually our specialty. Okay, so I actually do this a lot. I brag to customers. Is it for my ego? Okay, yeah, that's a portion of that. But it really is for them to trust you. So a lot of times when you're dealing with people and you're dealing with support issues, a quick way to have them trust you is to be like, okay, bro, I've been doing this for years. Okay, so trust me, I can fix your issue. Just let me know the problem so we can get to it. You see what I'm saying? So all that anger that they may have just goes right out the window, because now that you're basically taking ownership of the issue. That's what we call it. Basically call it taking ownership. So basically you're taking ownership of their issue because you're letting them know, hey, you're with somebody who has experience, and I'm willing to work to whatever means that we need to work to in order to get this issue resolved. So bragging, even though it's to fill our egos, but it's also to let us know that, hey, we're pretty good at this. and you should have trust in us because we're really good at this. So now the only thing that will counter that, if he says that, he's like a day away from his RMA. If he's a day away from his RMA, okay? So going back to this here. Okay, now you don't have to return this. This is actually our specialty. Okay, so with your modem router situation, explain that. Is this a all-in-one modem router from your ISP? Or is it a device you purchased? Who is your ISP? We only say ISP because I believe he said ISP. I thought he did. Factory reset. Well, okay, he said clear MAC address, so obviously he knows what an ISP address is, or ISP is, if he knows what a MAC address is. Okay, so with your modem router situation, explain. With your modem, okay, so with your modem router situation, could you explain that? Could you explain that? Is this an wow, Anthony, an all-in-one modem router for from your ISP, or is it a device you purchase? Who is your ISP? So essentially what may be happening is, one, he may be getting blocked. Xbox typically likes to do a lot of connections, and his NAT type going from service unavailable. It could be that his router is actually blocking him. So, but at the same time, if it's his router, then he may be able to make a change in order to fix it by updating, so on and so forth. It really kind of depends on what kind of router he has. But if it's a company like an internet service provider's modem router, then he may be a little bit limited on the options, because if that guy reboots, it's probably going to go back to default settings. So that's the reason why we say that. Also, if it also belongs to the internet service provider, he can ask them to troubleshoot his issue, provided he's renting it out from them, or he just bought it or something along those lines. So it really depends on where his network is, because if he's losing network connectivity while wired, then we're looking at more so just the router modem or a block. So it could be the internet service provider is actually blocking him because he's playing video games. That is a definite possibility. But we'll reach that conclusion once we know more about the modem router situation. If it's his router, then we may be able to work around this. One, if it's his router, then we can bypass the router, hook directly into the modem, reboot the modem, get the public IP address, which is the IP address that everybody is reaching, and see if that actually fixes his issue. That will let him know if he has a router issue or not. But if it's a modem router combo, then he's not going to be able to do that. The only thing you can do is hook up directly. So yeah, it really kind of depends on what his issue is, and the fact that it's losing connectivity, whether it's wired or wireless, lets you know that it's not the cable. So if it's wired or wireless, he's only looking at router or modem router. So or internet service provider at that point. So that's kind of the way we would troubleshoot that, and then we would go from there. So yeah, you don't have to return it, bro. You just have to give us information, and we want all the information. We don't want some. We need all of it because we need to know what internet service provider we're talking about, and I can explain it. Like, did we have? I think we did this earlier, but we'll go ahead and just explain it real quick. All right. So if we're talking about our friend here with his computer. Boop, boop, boop. Burp, burp, burp. All right, so he has his computer and he has it going to a modem router. That is the symbol for router, actually. So he has it going into his router, right? And so if this is also a modem, so in other words, if his ISP is back here, right? And his ISP is connecting into it, then he can't, if this is a modem router, then he can't do anything here. The only thing that he can do is kind of work with the modem router. But if this is a separate device, he could essentially pick our rainbow zebra color, go around this guy in order to reach a modem, right? So essentially, we're just trying to get him to bypass this device and go directly to the modem in order to have a direct connection with the internet service provider, if that makes sense. So we're trying to get him to bypass the router if the router is the situation. But if it's not the situation and he has a modem router combo, then we have to deal with that guy. So that's kind of the way we're treating it. So let me clear this out and delete. There we go. Alrighty, so we'll just play it that way and see exactly what he says and just kind of go from there. So Acid Nice, go ahead and keep us posted there. Alrighty, so this is from Highway Star 77. Let me get some water. Another Xbox Series X issue. Let's do it. Controller desyncs from Series X almost every time I turn off the console. Desyncs from Series X almost every time I turn the console off. Pretty much every day I start on my Xbox Series X, I have to turn on the power on the console itself and resync the controller. I have two controllers connected to the console and they both do the same thing. Has anyone else had this issue or know of a way to fix it? Okay. Well, what kind of batteries do you have in your Xbox? Is it a battery pack? Does this issue happen with new batteries? Also, let me look in the back of this guy. Okay. There, I thought there was, no. I was, all there is just a little signal button. So we're talking about the Xbox controller. Most people know this, but it's just that one signal connectivity button. It doesn't have as many buttons as the PlayStation, where it doesn't have that reset button back there. But to be fair, the PlayStation controller is also used for iPads and stuff. So does this issue happen with new batteries? Also, what happens if you reboot the Xbox? Does the controllers lose connectivity then? See, that's what you really want to know, right? So if we do, so basically what we're trying to get him to do is the difference between a cold boot and a warm boot, because he's saying he turns his console off and that's when he has the issue. And then he comes back the next day and he has the problem. So, okay, well, what happens if you reboot? That's going to be a warm boot, which means that power isn't taken away from the actual device and it's technically still on. So if he does a reboot and reboots the device and comes back up, does he still have the issue? And that'll let us know how to proceed with that. And on top of that, we also want to know if he has a new battery pack and he just shuts it off and then shuts it back on, does it actually still have the issue? So there's a few things we want to know, because I'm thinking that he may be draining his battery on the actual Xbox controller, and that's why it's having that issue. Now, for it to have it happen on both devices, that seems a little bit less likely. So yeah, we just need some more information so we can actually proceed on this one here, because we need to know this part right here. what happens when we actually reboot the device, because that'll be the difference between a reset or something hardware or physical having a problem. Alrighty, my Xbox X freezes constantly. It started with just Destiny, where I would freeze and crash every other mission. Now I crash in Elden Ring and Warframe, just the freezing and Phoenix. Wow, you crashing in Elden Ring, man, that's hard. Because you're gonna get destroyed. I didn't have these problems a few months ago since the start of the new season on Destiny. I don't know what happened. I have done 2 hard resets, one where I kept my downloads and one where I had to re-download everything. I don't think I have a warranty as I bought my Xbox X from a scalper since my old one broke, originally Xbox One. I'm running out of things to try at this point. I don't know where all these problems came from. Okay, well, Xbox would freeze constantly. It started with Destiny. I would freeze and crash every other mission. Okay, so the Xbox itself is crashing. Okay, so by chance, where is your Xbox located? Is it in a table? Or is it able to pull in fresh air? Also check the top, the top of the device to make sure there is not a dust build up there. Let me see if we want to say anything else. He said he already tried to do a reset and it didn't fix his issue, so he's going to be in a lot of, well, if you do a reset, then it's also going to install the most up-to-date version. So, but it happens in every game, so that's not a good sign. So we'll just go with these two because 9 times out of 10 he's going to have the most up-to-date version because he just wiped it. Okay, so by chance, is your Xbox where is your Xbox located? Is it in a table or is it able to pull in fresh air? Also check the top of the device to make sure there is not a dust buildup there. Yeah, and we'll just go from there. He's having it in all his games. Well, he mentioned Warframe. Okay, he said he had an Elden Ring, and Elden Ring isn't wireless or isn't on the network. I just wanted to make sure that his issue, his freezing, may not be is happening because of network connectivity or network connectivity loss, but I don't think that's the case here. So yeah, we'll just go with that because there's not a whole lot more you can do. So if you all right, so if you have an Xbox issue, right? And your Xbox is freezing in games. So if we're talking about Destiny, which is online, if we're talking about Warframe, which is online, and then we talk about Elden Ring, which can be online. So if we eliminate the issue that it's not online because it was online, it will just kick him out of the system. It won't just freeze on him. So it also won't crash because of it. So if it's freezing and crashing, there's not a whole lot you can do. The only thing that you can do is a reset to the device, or make sure that it's on the most up-to-date version, or making sure that it's getting enough air to the actual processor, because the thing that can happen is that the device is overheating. So that will be a reason why it would shut itself down, because all 3 of those games, Elden Ring, Warframe, and Destiny, all pretty much utilize the actual processor on the actual Xbox Series X. So it could be that maybe it's getting suffocated, and which would explain his issue as well. So that's the only thing that you really can do, because if you've already done a reset, you've pretty much done all you can from the Xbox. Also, it should be noted that even if he bought it from a scalper, doesn't necessarily mean that he can't check to see if he can RMA it. But he may not have a receipt to RMA, so that may be a problem, but it doesn't hurt. But we'll bring that to his attention depending on what he says and what he replies back with. Okay, so yeah, we'll just go with that one here because that's pretty much your only option, bro. All right, group 3. Let's do this. Okay, group 3. I wanted to upgrade my laptop CPU, but it's soldered in. Yeah, game over. You're not gonna upgrade your laptop CPU. If you did, you're a bad man. I mean, that's a lot of work. And he says he has the 4710 HQ, which is a very, very, very old processor. And he has the HP 2290 version 77.25. And I said, well, are you comfortable replacing parts on a laptop? But ideally for laptops, a lot of that stuff is soldered onto the motherboard and won't come out. He said, yeah, it's soldered in. I need to replace the motherboard to get a better CPU, or else I need to get a GPU that I can somehow connect. You need a new laptop. You can't add a GPU to a laptop, at least not yours. And to replace the whole system board to get a minor upgrade in CPU performance will still not let you play games. Okay, well, hold on there, sir. Hold on there. You're talking to a person with an eGPU. Let's find out what he's rocking, because if he has USB-C, he might be able to do this. Let me see. What's the device again? You said HP 2290. why would he say that? What is it? I'm upgrading. Well, okay. See, in fact, he doesn't say that. Okay. Well, I don't know the model of laptop you have, but but you can purchase an eGPU plus GPU for a laptop that has a Thunderbolt, well USB-C, has a well, it's really Thunderbolt 3 port. Okay, well, I don't know the model of the laptop you have, but you can purchase the eGPU plus GPU for a laptop that has Thunderbolt 3 ports. The thing is, the price will probably be equivalent to purchasing a new laptop anyway. I only mention it on the off chance that you like portable devices, as you can then pair the eGPU for the graphics portion and still have a lightweight system when you travel. That's the only reason why I bring it up, because an eGPU will help out just about anything. Okay, so I have a ThinkPad X1 tablet. So the ThinkPad X1 tablet, I can show you guys real quick here. ThinkPad X1 tablet. All right, so it's this guy, right? It's super tiny, super portable, right? It's super thin. Yeah, whatever, dude. So if you look, you see, well, this isn't it. This is actually a Carbon. That's actually a laptop. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, yeah, this right here. This works. All right, so this isn't the exact model I have, but if you look, it's basically a writing tablet. It's basically the equivalent of having a Surface, essentially. Well, these guys here, once they have a Thunderbolt 3 port or a USB-C that can get up to that speed, so basically Thunderbolt 3 essentially, once they have that, you can actually pair them with an eGPU. And the thing about it is, yes, an eGPU plus a graphics card is expensive. However, if you came from a desktop and went to a laptop, you can use that particular desktop's graphics card. Or if you buy that eGPU and you decide that you want to stay with this form factor and you want to stay with something small and tiny, then you can buy that eGPU. And then, if you choose to upgrade in the future, you can, and just hook it back up to the eGPU. So it has a lot more longevity than a laptop that's on its last legs, especially like for him, because he has like a 4th gen. So I'm not trying to make him purchase something expensive. I'm just letting him know his options, because this person may be in school and he doesn't want to buy some big gaming laptop in order to play games. He may be better off, if he has, like the budget for it, and buying a eGPU. And if he had a desktop previously, just grabbing the graphics card out of that guy, plugging it in and hooking up with Thunderbolt 3 on his next computer and be perfectly fine. And then he just constantly keeps using that until he gets tired of it. You see what I'm saying? And that may be better. And he can buy a cheaper laptop because of it. So, if you have a $500 worth of eGPU and a graphics card in there, you can buy cheaper laptops that just gives you kind of CPU capabilities and travel capabilities, and when you're at home, just hook up to the eGPU. So that is a definite option. So I just want him to know that he does have options. He doesn't have to buy the most expensive thing on the menu if he just wants to game. So yeah, I'll just give him that option. That way he knows he does have a different exit that's more creative, like his username. Alrighty, here, let's switch back here and let's go to the next one. Alrighty, here, this is from Chex. We'll just go with Chex. Okay, so we're back to computers. Man, this is getting fun. I like this switching around between Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know where the Switch support is. It's not like I don't have the button for Switch. I just don't know where it's at. So just give me a couple days. We'll add Switch to the mix as well, and then we can switch between Switch, Xbox, PS5, Windows 10 with AMD with a 6900 XT, and then Windows 11 with the 3090. That way we can troubleshoot just about any issue that comes across. But as soon as I find it, I don't know where it's at. It's not in Reddit for sure. Well, okay, I don't know for sure, but I just can't find it in Reddit. All right, so Even though we've gotten one Nintendo Wii or Nintendo Wii, wow, we got one Nintendo Switch issue, but we haven't had many. So this is from Chex. He said, unknowingly downgraded most, if not all, my computer drivers. Okay. So for some reason, he downgraded a lot of his drivers and he started having problems. So he said, to cut it short, I installed a driver update program, believing it'd be worth doing considering I have an unhealthy obsession with keeping things up to date. After updating all my drivers, my laptop speakers no longer show under the playback on the sound program. The same goes for my laptop's microphone under recording. So to fix it, he tried the Windows troubleshooter to see if that would fix the issue. And then he said, I tried Device Manager to see if I can reinstall the update or update the drivers that got uninstalled and downgrade, but that was also not an option. And then he said all of his games are also slower. And then he said, screenshots are provided below to better show my problem. Please help me. If completely resetting my PC would mean getting my drivers back to their best state, I'll do that. I don't trust Article's advice anymore. And this was his picture. Actually, do I remember this? Okay, yeah, I remember this because I remember that stupid picture at the top. Okay, there are no compatible drivers for this device for the HD audio bus. Okay, and then he has an Elo Air 7.1, and okay, so basically, but it says Intel High Definition. Intel High Definition. That's also when it says when it doesn't see a graphics card. So well, you can say, well, what can you, what, oh, okay, I can't even say that. Well, what you can try is to go to the website of your motherboard and download the most up-to-date sound driver to see if that fixes the issue. The frame rate issue sounds more likely to have nothing to do with the sound issue, but we will work the sound issue first since that's the question you asked. Sorry for the late response and thank you for helping. I tried what you said to, unfortunately, it did not work. As a last resort, I reset my PC, but sadly this did nothing. Performance is seemingly back to normal, so it's probably a virus or two. Okay, so the issue is resolved, but since we wiped, we don't have a criminal. Chalk it up to unsolved mysteries, I suppose. Yeah, we can't do anything, bro. If you wiped it and that fixed the issue, as I resort to my reset with my PC, performance is seemingly back to normal, so it was probably a virus or two. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I'm sorry. To unsolved mysteries. So the sound issue is resolved as well. Unfortunately, it didn't work. What that is? He said Elo 7.1 Air. Those are just speakers, right? His display adapter. So if you look over here in the corner, his display adapter doesn't have a problem. So my question is, resolved as well? If not, oh, sorry. If not, let me scroll down so everybody can see. If not, what happens if you use the sound of the GPU? For example, well, he didn't see it. He only saw speakers. He only saw speakers. He didn't see his monitors, which means that those drivers belong to the graphics card. Oh, so the sound issue is resolved as well. If not, what happens if you use the sound of the GPU? If I didn't know any better, it sounds like the drivers it's complaining about are the drivers for your GPU. Well, there's nothing else in its sound, right? Other devices. No. So it's in other devices. Okay. So we'll go like this. It sounds like the drivers it's complaining about are the drivers for your GPU. This is because I don't see your monitors in sound. Okay. What kind of device are you using for sound? Is it internal sound or a sound card? Sound card? Let me see. it was, did he ever say his laptop, if it was a laptop or desktop? I don't think so. So we'll just go with this. What happens if you use the sound of the GPU? If I didn't know any better, it sounds like, if not, yeah, we'll go like that. That way we separate a little bit. So I think he said I think what he's trying to say is that he fixed his video issue, but he didn't fix his sound issue. But we got to make sure because I didn't know what he was talking about. So the sound issue is resolved as well, is what we really need to know. And then we kind of have to go from there and say, okay, well, if it's the sound, you know, it's a possibility that it could be the sound from the graphics card, because it's kind of weird that you don't see his monitors in his screen. Like it most of the time, whenever we're looking at this, okay, so NVIDIA high definition audio not plugged in. Why would it show it if it's not plugged in? Well, here. I don't mean to reply to that. I meant to edit it. If I didn't know any better, it sounds like the driver is complaining about drivers for your GPU. This is because I don't see your monitors in sound. Well, I just saw them, so I'm sorry. I may have just misspoken there. What kind of device are you using for sound? Is it a sound card? Or the GPU? How is it connected to the monitor? There we go. We'll do it that way. My bad. I thought it didn't show the monitor, but it did, and it showed that it was a part of the NVIDIA driver. So I want to see if he can get it to show through the monitor and see what happens. But yeah, his sound issue. We need to know more about that sound card. If we don't know more about that sound card, we can't proceed. We don't know if you're talking about internal motherboard sound, or if we're talking about a sound card, or if we're talking about a desktop or a laptop. Like, we need some more information. So just let us know, bro. It's just us talking too, so he'll probably reply back. So yeah, we'll go with that and then kind of go from there. Okay, Yash, let's do this. Okay, sudden drop in frames after BIOS update. As the title says, my laptop HP Pavilion Gaming 15 Ryzen 7 has had a sudden drop in frames and is extremely laggy after a recent BIOS update it went through. While watching videos on YouTube, the video suddenly starts lagging behind the audio, which is something that has never happened before. Also, while playing League of Legends, I was only getting a constant 4 FPS while the ping was healthy. Before the update, it used to range between 135 to 144 consistently. I have no idea how to solve this, and it is quite a pain as my final exams are the winter semester going on right now, and I rely on my laptop a great deal for my education. Could someone please tell me how to fix this? You can roll back BIOS. So sure. So with this one, where are you when you're getting 4 FPS in League of Legends? Are you doing an online match, or is this a private match / test match? Also, I would try to update the video driver to see if that resolves the issue. I forgot to mention the things I tried to do to fix this issue. This includes update of all drivers. I even used the HL support tool to download the necessary drivers. Okay. Well, BIOS can be rolled back. More than likely. Oops, sorry. Can be rolled back. Okay, well, BIOS more than likely can be rolled back. Have you tried to go back to the original BIOS you tried to install? Revert. So yeah, I would say roll back on this one. There's no point in trying to go too much further into this if you can just roll back, because rolling back BIOS is an option for just about anything. Well, not just about anything, for most things. You should be able to roll back BIOS. Now, of course, if you roll back to a version that you're not comfortable with, it can cause issues like the Aorus Gigabyte X570 or whatever that stupid mini ITX board is. But yeah, if he just rolls back to the version he originally had, that may actually resolve his issue. So we'll just go with that and see what he says, because that's actually a really good troubleshooting method. So you can just, because, okay, here's the thing with this one, right? With this guy, we're against time. So we can continue troubleshooting, that's true, but because we're against time, we have to treat it as such. So for this one here, it's better for us to just listen to him and see what he's saying, and then say, okay, well, let's try to revert back to see if we can resolve his issue, and then we can talk about it later. So because this man is against time, it's not a good idea to try to troubleshoot this as if we're trying to work his problem fully, because all it's going to do is just waste his time. So yeah, let's see if the BIOS flashback works, and then kind of take it from there. Okay, Nietzsche, I remember him. More networking issue. All right, so parts of internet connection bug out randomly for long periods of time, but connection mostly works. And he basically described this issue as cable modem router Ethernet to PC. In other words, it almost looked as if he has a separate router, but that's not the case. He actually does have a modem router. And I said, that's interesting you say that, since the first Spectrum tech literally told you nothing was wrong. So basically, he called out Spectrum, and I was worried, we were worried about the price, because Spectrum charges a trip charge depending on if they determine that the issue is yours. And so we were letting him know. But he was like, okay, well, keep us posted. If they're going to come out and troubleshoot the issue, then keep us posted. He said, turns out they were actually super thorough and courteous. Sent a couple guys out later at night when I was actually able to be home. No charge, even though this was the second visit. These guys figured the first one was a contractor guy trying to get the job done quickly. They replaced the line going underground from the box to the house. Jesus Christ. They replaced the drop, removed the power splitter, and replaced the modem. After a couple firmware updates on the modem, it worked fine. They couldn't pinpoint the source of the issue, but it was somewhere in there. Yeah, it had to have been. Otherwise, they wouldn't have freaking replaced the drop. Hopefully, this post will help, at least help someone else down the line. Yep. Yep. I troubleshoot these. Well, no, that's not that's a fake statement. We troubleshoot these issues for fun, so definitely helping bring awareness to other people having issues. Good looking out, bro. Glad you were able to get this fixed. There you go. So yeah, you definitely help some people, bro. So yeah, calling text is also a good idea, but you gotta be careful with that. Some texts, they are not as generous as replacing a drop. Like, that's pretty rare. It's not like it's hard to do. It's just, it's rare that they would replace a drop unless they really did see some degradation and loss of connectivity from the tap to the drop. Okay, Nietzsche, I'm glad that helped, bro, and I'm glad they didn't charge you. Okay, so this is from Dry Clothes. Dry Clothes is talking about his RTX 4080 FPS being about the same as the 3080 Ti. So he was talking about, he ran his 3080 Ti at 2K, and he was getting, I think he was getting 60 to 80 frames per second. Drivers, but on 4690, I'm running back to medium 1440p settings at 270 FPS plus. So he originally had a 3080 Ti, and he was saying that his 3080 Ti was getting 60 to 80, but it's 4K or 60 to 80 with in 4K with DLSS turned on, and his 4080 was getting 100 to 120 FPS with DLSS turned off. And we were like, okay, well, you know, that's actually pretty close, because if I did the exact same thing, because the games you were playing, GPU utilization, I think he was playing like COD or something. Let's see here. What game was he playing? Much better compared to the Loom, blah, blah, blah. Because he maxed out his settings. And to clarify, okay, maybe it doesn't show it here. Well, did you ever try the 3080 Ti in 4K? If so, what did it get? As far as the drivers are concerned, what happens if you uninstall then reboot? Let Windows install the default drivers for the graphics card, which it will do automatically, then test to see if your frame rate did it make a difference. Yes, I did run a 4K at 3080 Ti for a few months. With Lumen, I could hover around 70 to 80 FPS with DLSS. In terms of Windows, the only default drivers it installs is the basic display adapter. With the drivers, I would always use DDU and then test them. After going through a bunch of versions, and I found the Gigabyte 3080 Ti ran the best with version 496.13 to 512 using DDU every time I would swap. Obviously, I can't use that for the 2021 versions from 2021 now with the 4080 because they don't support it. Right. Gotcha. Well, you may need to try an earlier version with the 4080, but this isn't sounding too bad, as your test with the 3080 Ti with DLS turned on and your test with the 4080 was with it turned off, and it was still around 100. That sounds about right, bro. Because if you turned on DLSS, then you probably would be around 120, which sounds about right. What game are you playing? I may be able to test with my 4090. The game is Fortnite. I run the graphics high because I mostly do memes and stuff for my YouTube. I was using DLSS with both the 3080 Ti and 4080, though, to clarify, I did sort of solve the issue last night. Basically, it was pegging only a few cores, so I went into msconfig and set the number of processors to 24 for the 5900X, even though it shouldn't matter. And in launcher options for the executable, and I added the use all available cores tag. And now it's sort of better. Lumen in 4K is like 120-ish, and 1440p is like nice to 130 to 140. Okay, still feel like the drivers aren't super optimized, and I did try the earliest versions that support 4080, of which there are a few, but got the same-ish results overall on those. At least now it's not acting like it's CPU bound on max 4K settings with the 5900X. LOL. And 4K with DLSS, the implementation of it in Fortnite is so good, even performance looked like native res. And high settings, no lumen, is hovering around 240. Yeah, that sounds about right. And it bogs down to 190 in big area cities compared to my 3080 Ti, which wants 170 in cities and 200 everywhere else. Well, that's awesome, bro. Glad you were able to get this resolved. This is actually the second time. This is actually the second time someone has mentioned changing the cores to fix an issue. So we will take note of this for the future. The other time that I ran into this situation and it was fixed by that, well, it wasn't fixed by that, but it was given as an option, was in Overwatch. Was it Overwatch? No, it was Call of Duty. It was Call of Duty, and in Call of Duty, we ran into this problem, and they basically said inside of the Call of Duty folder, you can change the max CPU utilization. I was telling him to just go ahead and remove the folder and let it create it from scratch in order to troubleshoot his issue. But one of the people had also recommended him changing the amount of cores utilized from 4 to like 12 or something, and to see if that actually resolved the issue. So that seems to be a definite troubleshooting step. Only reason why I kind of shied away from it is because I've never tried it in order to fix a particular issue like that, and it can change depending on what game. Like, for example, he made a change in the actual game in order to actually get his to work. So it may change depending on what game we're talking about. So it's not the best troubleshooting step in the world, but it seems to have fixed a couple of different issues. So because of that, we'll add it to our repertoire and then go from there. Alrighty. So, but I am glad he got that fixed. So that's great. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and go to our last group here. And we may finish a little early, but I think it'll be okay, because we're at 9:06. A lot of these Xbox issues be taking up a little bit of time. All right. All right, back to networking. I'm down. Oh, I'm also hot. Let me turn. Oh God, my fan. I'm sorry. Y'all did not need to hear that. There we go. I'm sorry. I dropped my fan on the floor and I was afraid it may be dead, and I'm like can't even go outside, so I can't lose my fan. Okay, Insomniac always writes, I believe my router is lessening my internet speed drastically and I can't seem to fix it. Okay. Okay, so all morning I've been on the phone with Spectrum with my internet speeds. Okay, cool. So this guy here is getting 300 megabits per second down, but he was getting less than that with his router hooked up. And then I said, okay, well, out of curiosity, what is the internet speed wired to the router? Is it on par with the speed you are expected to get? If it is, then you can go wired in your home for now, or use an Ethernet or a power adapter if you have one. If it's not, then you would need to replace the router as it's not capable of keeping up with your current speed. Unfortunately, wired or wireless is the same speed. It's you, bro. The information I've gathered from the other comments tells me I need to replace the router, so that's what I'm going to do. Exactly. Yep. Glad you were able to get that worked out. Take care, bro. Yeah. Replace the router. I guess somebody else said the same thing. Old junk router. You're going to have to get a new router. You do realize that 10 by 100 router, right? You'll never get more than 95 megabits per second through it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So everybody just kind of jumped to the conclusion. But yeah, the RT1200, I was saying it was old, but I didn't know it was 10 by 100. So yeah, 10 by 100 basically means it's not gigabit. It's fast Ethernet. So because it's fast Ethernet, its speeds are going to be kind of nerfed. So yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, so this is from Hi Brad 2003. I'm sorry, this part right here was glowing. So I couldn't even see his username because this right here was glowing. So I was like, oh my God, what is this? Built this wooden PC case for a friend that couldn't find what he wanted online, which is the 5900X NVMe, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. So this guy was the man who built the wooden PC. I don't know why I have this unless he actually replied to me. Oh, he totally did. This is clean, but I got to know the thermals. Haven't tried gaming on it yet. He needs to sign into Steam so we can download some games. But idle, 5900X sits at 38 to 40 degrees Celsius, which is kind of astonishing. It's not really astonishing because it's a 360 millimeter radiator. It's just this GPU is what I was worried about in a wooden case. You know what I mean? He said, oh yeah, the CPU will be fine. I was more concerned about the GPU as all the air it will get will be hot. It actually seems to suck quite a bit of fresh air in from the backside through the 5 open PCIe slots. I did a 30-minute firm mock and never got above 65. Sweet. Just let me know when production starts. That's actually pretty good. So, but okay. The reason why he says that, if you look at his back, it's super open. So his back is open. So that's where he's getting a lot of his air from. And that's where a lot of his heat is exhausting. Because what'll happen when you deal with heat, when you come from a mining background, when you deal with heat, what actually happens when they say that, you know, heat rises, they're liars. No, they're not. It's not that they're liars. It's just that what actually happens is heat actually mixes with cool air before it does anything. So if it detects cool air, it immediately consumes it and it goes into warm air, right? So it does that before it does rises and all that other stupid stuff. So if there's cool air coming in or there's cool air nearby, then it's gonna pick up that cool air first before it actually starts turning into heat. So yeah, he can keep it pretty cool if he can get it kind of open towards the back there. So yeah, very interesting case and a very interesting build. But yeah, heat is kind of a pain in the butt because as you have heat around the car, it'll mix with the cold air and turn your whole house warm. It sucks. But yeah, that is pretty clean though. Hey, that is pretty clean. It feels like it's splinter, like a splinter is going to happen just by touching it. But outside of that, it's super clean. He said he had to sand it down like a really long time. But yeah, I can definitely see that happening. But that's still pretty sweet build, bro. Alrighty, Xbox payment region. Oh yeah. So this guy here has an issue with his Xbox, and essentially it is it's showing an error whenever he's trying to set up payments because his Xbox is in a different region than his PayPal account. He's in the Philippines, by the way. I was able to buy games and even subscribe to Game Pass the few years ago, but now I can't. Maybe Xbox changed things up. I'm not sure. So the console does regionally lock as far as I can remember, this is not changeable on the Xbox, but there is a site from Xbox and I said support.xbox, blah, 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 blah. But then we actually went in and we were actually figured out a way to actually change the region. You may also be able to change it by going to system, language, and location and restart the Xbox to see if that resolves the issue. And that is, oh, I'm sorry. My Xbox turned off. We'll give it a second and come back to it. You may also be able to change it by going to system, language, and location and restart the Xbox to see if that resolves the issue. He said, thank you. I looked this up and I am now on the page where I can choose the region I would switch to. Unfortunately, the country I'm in, the Philippines, does not support Xbox features. Should I choose to the closest country to me, or buying games digitally is impossible at this point? Well, the closest country to him, country? You mean like a continent or something like that? Because he can go like Australia and that would work, or that may work. Let me see. Because any other country that's near that, like for example, if we did, I'm sorry, my mind just went blank. If he's in the Philippines, it would be Singapore. It would be Singapore. So let's go back to Xbox and see if it's up. Wow, I don't know why that took me so long. That's literally what I was going to move to. Not necessarily like, because Philippines, they changed their regulations above having long stay people, and they changed it a little bit. So I was actually thinking about going to Philippines and actually doing a basically being able to stay there for like 10 to 12 years. So that's how I knew it. But yeah, Singapore, they don't have that. Singapore is very hard to get into. But neither here nor there. If we go to system and then we were at language and location and we were talking about changing the changing the region. So the language region, or sorry, not the language region, but the location from the United States. And I was saying Singapore. Yeah, Singapore. So So what happens if you try Singapore? That's closer. Yeah, that's way closer. Singapore is only like from Singapore to Philippines is like an hour. But from Singapore to Australia is much further. So yeah, we'll go with Singapore. So what happens if you try Singapore? And see exactly what happens with that and just kind of go from there. And I'm sorry, I couldn't see that. So yeah, I said basically just what happens if you try Singapore and then see what happens and just kind of go from there. Because Singapore is closer and that may actually get him working. But we'll see. But yeah, his country is going to be the problem. You could if it wasn't an Xbox, we could definitely say VPN, but yeah. You can also create a new PayPal account. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Singapore. You can also create a new PayPal account and see if that helps as well. And when creating, choose Singapore as your country. This man always jumps to conclusions. He's like, oh my God, do I have to return it and set my Xbox on fire? I'm like, sir, it's okay. We can work through this. It's not that big a deal. Oh, okay. Okay. But maybe I just have to give up. I was like, oh my God, you're so doom and gloom, bro. We got you. We'll get this handled. It's not that big a deal. So yeah, he may have to talk to Xbox eventually, but yeah, I would try Singapore and see if that actually gets it working because Singapore, well, okay, one, Singapore may be a little bit better of an option because it's closer to him and it may actually get it to work as opposed to the Philippines. But then on top of that, he can just create a new PayPal account and then set his location and his region to be outside of the US and see if that will actually resolve his problem too. Okay, I hope that helps, bro. Keep us posted. Oh yeah, the dude with the awesome name. So this is bad translation ships, and he was trying to stop Google Apps from resetting when reopening iPhone 12 Max. This was the issue that I thought that other iPhone issue was, but this is the one that I was actually saying before I read it and realized I was talking about the wrong thing. So if we go back to what we were saying then, basically he's having memory issues with his apps. His apps cannot save anything and it resets everything regardless of how many tabs he has open. And I said, okay, so it appears that the apps are not being loaded into memory properly. To troubleshoot this, make sure you are on the most up-to-date version of iOS. Also, do me a favor and reboot the phone and then try Google when it comes back up. Then swap off to see if the issue persists. Basically, what I'm trying to get him to do is I'm trying to get him to reboot the device, which means that all of the applications that are currently running in the background are gone, and then try to go into Google and see if he can recreate the issue. Hello, I updated my phone, but it still happens, just not as fast. So we updated the phone, which means that it also rebooted. Maybe a minute it resets, please help. I said, okay, well, if rebooting helps the situation but doesn't fix it, then it sounds like the phone may have issues caching data or possibly a RAM issue. Also, is it only Google Apps? If that is the case, go to settings, scroll all the way to the bottom, pass all the options and go to the application Google Maps. Make sure background app refresh is turned on. We looked this issue up. I don't have an iPhone near me, but we looked this issue up. This is actually a location. So basically there is an option that says make sure background app refresh is turned on at the bottom of the settings. Once you go into the settings and scroll all the way to the bottom, that's a true option. He said, it is on. I tried rebooting and switching it on and off, still resets to the default map and losing my original map. What the F happened to my phone? It's too early for it to hit the 4D grade that Apple does. The phone is almost a year or so old. Okay, well, we need to know if this happens with other applications or just Google. This will let us know how to proceed. So try a different browser. Just download Firefox, for example, and see if Firefox gives you the same problem. All right, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to see if it's the application or if it's the actual phone itself, and the best way to do that is to download a different program. He was testing by going to different tabs and I don't know what he was using, Safari. Oh yeah, Safari, obviously Safari, because it's the iPhone. So he was going to Safari and using different tabs. So now we're saying, okay, well, go ahead and download Firefox and then try to go to different tabs and see if it actually saves it, and that will let us know. And then we'll kind of go from there because he's using Google Maps as an option. And we don't want to go with Google Maps because Google Maps is still a Google product, right? So we don't have an alternative for Google Maps that we can just say to go to because it may not. Well, you see what I'm saying? It becomes a little bit more hectic. I would rather him go to more tabs, but yes, Waze would be the way to go with that one. But I would rather him go and download Firefox, something that I know consistently works, that everybody still uses, and try Firefox and see if Firefox does the exact same thing, and just kind of keep it browser to browser versus keeping it navigation software to navigation software. If you catch my drift, you see what I'm saying? I'd rather it be Safari versus Firefox versus Google Maps versus Waze. You see what I'm saying? Because there's too many things that can happen. So it's a better test to go with Safari versus Firefox on this one. So yeah, we'll go with that and let's see what he says. All righty, keep us posted, bad translation ships. Alrighty, and okay, cool. So yeah, this guy here, he basically created an all-in-one monitor, or well, he's a part of Linus's team, I guess, and he created this all-in-one monitor that basically it folds down and you can take it with you. So yeah, it's very, very portable, and it's basically like that, and it looks like a little small luggage when he's done with it. So yeah. Oh, here it is. So in case anybody didn't see this, it is super nice and very, very tidy. But those little stick legs kind of worried me a little bit. But these are actually small iPad screens. So the ones that are here and here are small iPad screens that have the same resolution as the main screen. So you can just kind of swipe from one side to the other and the resolutions don't change. Plus, it's good viewing, is a good viewing angle. And he was talking about a do-it-yourself project, and I was like, no, just call it a money project and then just take our money. And I was like, take my money. And he says, somebody said, as non-conspicuously non-coincidental orange hexagon pattern. I love to see Alex taking this concept and trying to improve upon it. Yeah, an A4000 fantastic channel. Yeah, I definitely say take my money. That is an excellent idea. Okay, well, that is it for today. So yeah, we're just finishing up and it's 9:30. I'll take that. That's not too bad. Alrighty, you guys. Alrighty, so that's gonna do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and like button. If you really like it, I'm gonna subscribe. I love you either way. Take care, all the best, and bye.